And we are live. And hello, everybody. I am the original gamer, ogStevieStrow, and with me, I'm very pleased to bring to everybody Jerry Garcia of the Buckner and Garcia Band from this album here, Pac-Man Fever, the greatest #1 hit of 1982, still selling today. And before I say anything else, I think the best person to introduce Buckner and Garcia right now is Mr. Dick Clark himself. So let's take a look at this real quick.
Jerry, Gary, Buckner, Garcia. Did I sort it out right?
That's correct.
All right. What inspired you?
Well, we were playing the game last summer, and in fact, we'll play any game. We love to play games and had so much fun with it, decided that let's do a record.
What will this craziness do to your lives? Will you stay as record producers and writers, or will it take you into other fields? Where's it going to go from here?
Well, the new album's coming out, and it's got a lot of other video game material songs on it.
More?
Oh, we got a whole bunch of them. We've got songs like "Do the Donkey Kong," "Ode to a Centipede," "Froggy's Lament," all game songs, "Mousetrap," "Berserk," and it's opening up a lot of avenues that we weren't expecting. So we're just kind of going to follow the road and take it wherever it leads us.
Ladies and gentlemen, Buckner and Garcia.
All right, there we go. So that was Mr. Clark himself. And so with us on the main screen right now is Jerry Buckner of Buckner and Garcia. I also want to say hi to Alan Huffman down there, who made all of this possible, and my interview co-host Curtis Boyle. And before we get started, I just want to say one thing in the immortal words of Wayne and Garth.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy! We're not worthy! We suck! We suck!
All right, so we are ready to begin this interview. Jerry, I cannot thank you enough for agreeing to do this with us. It is an honor. It is a privilege to have you. This album has brought me many great memories through the years. I still have my original vinyl. And for the past week straight, I've been listening to the CD version and your commentary version on a continuous loop. So it's just burned into my brain. And thank you. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for having me on the program. I'm happy to be here, Steve. And I'm happy to see Alan and Curtis joining us today. And let me get one thing. Correct one thing you said, Jerry Garcia.
I'm sorry, brain freeze. Yeah, I know. Jerry Buckner, Gary Garcia. I knew that was going to happen. I've said it a million times.
You know, I wouldn't even bring it up, except we had in the early days that got mixed up a lot. In fact, when they were doing the Casey Kasem countdown show, the first week they said that, and they had to get that corrected. It was a little confusing, but that's okay. No, it happens all the time.
Oh my God, that's bad. I was saying to Curtis earlier too. I go. I know I'm going to screw this up because I've been saying this so many times, and I did.
It's all right. It's all right.
Oh, how are the great?
It's like in a football game. You got to get the quarterback has to get hit right in the beginning, and he's comfortable. So we're ready to go.
Yeah.
Had to get it out of the way right at the beginning. Now we're good.
Oh man. So we already have some people watching us live. So Paco Atakte is here, Panda Gamer's here, and Rex is here. So they're all saying hi. Let me start off by just saying some facts that I have come across by doing a little bit of my homework here. So Pac-Man Fever, obviously the big hit that we're all familiar with. So Pac-Man Fever, you recorded this in your apartment, Jerry. You wrote it in the front room of your apartment. You guys pressed this as a single. None of the record companies wanted this song. They didn't think it was a hit. Most of them didn't even know what Pac-Man was at the time. That's how new all of this was. So what you did is you had it released as an independent single. It played a few times in Atlanta, and within 7 days sold over 10,000 copies, which is absolutely amazing. At that point, CBS says, okay, we want to have this. We want the single, and we want an entire album from you guys. So that started. You wanted to include some original pop songs, and I go, no, we don't want any pop songs. We just want video game songs. And in about 2 weeks' time, you not only had to figure out what games you wanted to record songs from, but you recorded and produced the album in about 2 weeks, which is absolutely amazing. The single and the album both went gold, selling over 2.5 million copies worldwide. Pac-Man Fever reached #9 on the Billboard Top 100 chart. You wanted a follow-up sequel to this that was E.T. I Love You, which hopefully we'll play during this interview. And the studio says, no, we don't want to do E.T. We want to do Donkey Kong, and we want to do Neil Diamond. So, some obscure schmuck named Neil Diamond. They wanted him to do the E.T. song. They didn't want two E.T. songs from the same record label. So that song never made it, which I think would have been huge. And then you released this CD in 1999, a few years later. And when you went to do that, you couldn't get your original recording. So you actually re-recorded the entire album in 99. And then in 2011, Pac-Man Fever, along with the game, were named by People magazine number 210 out of 1,000 of the greatest moments in pop culture. So that's a little introduction to who we're talking to and what we're talking about. Did I get all my facts pretty close there, Jerry?
I think the interview's over. I don't know what to add to that.
It is absolutely amazing. You've
done your homework, that's for sure.
Because there's some people watching us now who are under 30 probably, and sadly not everybody even knows who Dick Clark is. And so the fact that you guys were on American Bandstand, that was the biggest show there was. Dick Clark was the man. Dick Clark is who Ryan Seacrest wants to be now. So Dick Clark had American Bandstand, had like the $10,000 pyramid, the game shows, TV's bloopers and practical jokes, the New Year's Eve countdown. So it was huge. Is for you to have that #1 single and be on that show was the biggest thing that could happen at this time in history, and it's absolutely amazing. So, like I say,
it truly was. We grew up watching American Bandstand like everyone else in our age group, and to actually go there and meet him and be on the show was very surreal for us. It was I was probably the most terrified in my life being on that show, actually doing it. It was just, we got to meet, he came to our dressing room before the show and walks in the door, and here he is in blue jeans and a sweatshirt and that famous voice that you've heard for all those years. And, hey, how you doing, guys? And we're just sitting there staring at him, we're just
right.
Like, we don't know what to do. And our manager, who had managed a lot of big different acts, he knew Dick and everything. And so Dick sits down, puts his foot up on the table, and he starts talking to us and telling us what he's going to do. And he says, I'll ask you some questions. And he throws a question at us, and we just look at him. And he goes, guys, it's TV. It's TV. you got to talk. You got to do something. And so, yeah, it was, and we went out the door of the dressing room. We were right next to Huey Lewis and the News. They were shooting 6 shows that day. And we go down there, and I'm saying, I hope he asks you the question first, on the interview. But of course, I get the question, and said something stupid. I don't remember what I said, but it was just a thrill. He was very good to us. He was a very nice man. He played our second song on his show. He promoted our album and single. He had a big national radio show too, and I can't say enough nice things about Dick Clark.
Oh, yeah. It's a true American legend, a class act, and kind of like, what Johnny Carson was to late night television, Dick Clark was to music and all other things,
perfect comparison.
Yeah.
And he's pretty well there for the whole history of rock and roll, too.
Yeah. And he was one of those guys where no matter how long you watched him on TV, it looked like he never aged, too, because he was on TV when it was still black and white. My parents watched Dick Clark. I watched Dick Clark, and I kept saying, this guy just doesn't age,
He was amazing. I read his biography, and he said that he couldn't attribute it to anything, but it was just ran in his family. But yeah, he looked great. Even when he was old.
And I must say, you were holding up quite well too, Jerry.
Yeah, it was fascinating back then. Before there was YouTube, and if you didn't have cable, this was the only way I ever saw what these guys look like, was watching that when it first aired on TV. Other than that, it was just a song that came on the radio, and you could, see an LP at the record store.
Well, yeah, going on that show just solidified, that you'd arrived in the music world, and it was just an amazing adventure. And I remember that when he, at the end of the interview, or at the end of the second song, which nobody remembers, we did 2 songs, he walks up towards you and he says, and his back's to the camera, and he says, take a bow, guys, take a bow. They had that down, that whole show. They'd done it so long, and the amplifiers and all the stuff was just dummy stuff. It wasn't real stuff. And man, they pumped the music loud, because you're lip syncing the song, and they pumped it really loud. Everything was, it was just top-notch professional run deal.
I bet. And I noticed too that Gary was playing the guitar in the video. Did Gary play guitar as well? Because his working on the solo looked pretty legit.
Gary was a guitar player.
Okay.
He played guitar. He liked to play bass actually towards the end of our career. But he played guitar. But he did not play that solo on the original solo. That was played by a guy named Rick Hinkle, here a musician here in Atlanta, and an incredible musician, still playing. And he actually plays. Now Gary could play the solo if he wanted to, but we produced it. You know, we wanted to bring someone in. Gary wanted to help produce and not play. So yeah, he could play guitar. He played real good guitar.
Good. That's cool. Yeah, I was watching that, and I just thought that was so cool to see you guys in the studio. I can't play too much of it because it's copyrighted by Dick Clark, but if you guys find that video on YouTube, I'll put a link to it later on in this video. It was really cool to see that video and see the people chomping their Pac-Man hands in the audience and how the lights went back and forth and made you guys look like you're in a video game. It was well produced, and it was a big time. So I know Curtis has some questions, and I'm sure Alan has some questions too. There's a lot of things we're going to talk about. So Curtis, do you want to start with your question? Like in the beginning, there was Light, and then there was Buckner and Garcia.
Yeah, my first question is like from reading the bios and stuff. You and your partner there kind of got together in high school, and had a band and stuff. And I was just wondering what got the two of you interested in music. Did you guys get interested in music at the same time? What actually got you into the first playing it and then into actually writing it?
Hello. Can you guys hear me? The Skype is kind of breaking up. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, it's been kind of coming in and out. So if you see me, I can't hear. But go ahead, and I can hear you now.
Okay. I'm just wondering, how did you and your partner get interested in music? Like I've read that you guys started in high school together and formed a band. What got you interested in music in the first place, and what got you interested in then writing music?
Well, I had started taking piano lessons when I was a kid. My dad sang gospel music, and I think he wanted me to. He was trying to learn to play piano, and he was struggling with it, and I could hear songs and just play them. So he said, "You're taking the lessons." So I started at a young age of 8 playing songs. And then when I got into high school, and Gary, the same thing. Back in the mid-'60s, early in mid-'60s, when the Beatles hit and all that, I mean, everybody wanted to have a band. So I had a band at the time. Gary had a band. Gary's first band was called Biggie and His Rat, and it was Gary and a drummer. That was it, just Gary and a drummer. And I saw them, we went to school together through junior high and high school, but he played for some kind of a dance thing after school with his band. He said, "Come down and hear us." So I did, and it was pretty horrible, but I was so impressed that he was playing guitar and all that. And in fact, the microphone, he said, when he was singing, it was shocking him from his saliva, singing. And he said it was horrible. He said the whole time he was shocked. Anyway, that was his first band. Then Gary had a band and started playing at a club, and there was teen clubs every night. I mean, I started, my band was called the Rogues Incorporated. I thought it sounded English. And Gary's band was called the Outlaws originally. And in fact, the band that became the Outlaws, one of those guys is from Akron. We think he stole the name. Anyway, so Gary was playing, I was playing. I mean, we were playing every night. And I was making, for a kid in high school, I was making pretty decent bucks per week. I remember they wanted me to play football, and I thought, well, I don't want to go out there and get beat up and everything versus I'm playing in a club, meeting girls and making money, and who wants to do that? I guess I'm making this a long-winded answer, but we both were playing, both had bands, and then as high school ended, then we got together and formed a band, of our own, and started playing together. Gary and I did a lot of duo work. He and I would just, you mentioned guitar, he liked to play acoustic rhythm, and we would go near, we would play anywhere. We just loved to play and sing. We'd be in a mall, if there was a piano there, we'd play, and we'd draw a huge crowd. People stand there, and we'd get offered jobs and everything. We were in an ice cream parlor one time, and they had an old piano, and we played in there, and the guy wanted to hire us. But so we were playing all the time, playing, and then started in writing songs, trying to learn how to write songs, and working in studio. And then I moved to Atlanta, Georgia, and Gary followed me about a year or two later, and we started doing jingles. And so that's kind of our, music. That's how we got into it in high school, and then continued on as a team, and from jingles to songs. And and from there on, the stuff we did.
That's cool.
I had a question about the jingles too, because when you hear jingles, were these just like call signs for the stations themselves, or were they like commercials for local businesses and stuff like that as well?
They were client jingles. We started doing them in Akron. It was working with a guy at a radio station who would feed us businesses that were buying time on the station, and then we would do a little demo thing and try to sell it to them, and then the guy would take a cut, and we didn't get hardly anything. There was a place in Akron where we were from called Nelson's Stag Shop, and I think there was 2 or 3 clothing stores, and they were the hip place to go. And we did a commercial for them. It was a pretty cool commercial, and I think I made $50 on this, and they played this thing night and day. They're on it. And I remember pulling into a McDonald's one day. I had 19 cents in my pocket. I think in those days it was enough to buy an orange drink. And I'm sitting there, and on the radio comes this commercial, and I learned a lesson that day. Man, I don't have any money, and so. But that's how we started doing little jingles like that. And then when we came to Atlanta, we got into doing stuff for bigger companies and so forth. But yeah, we didn't do. It wasn't for radio. It was
okay.
It was
so they're commercials, basically radio commercials. Right, and a jingle is like, for those who don't even know, like a jingle is like the catchy song that you remember. It's just got a nice little hook to it, and it's just you remember the song, and you remember, you remember the company because of the cool song they play.
Yeah, you grow to hate them usually.
Yeah. It's amazing how we have this musical memory. It's like in our DNA. I can remember lyrics to songs I've heard, but I can't remember a conversation I had 20 minutes ago, But I just think there's something musical about us as human creatures that's pretty cool that appeals to everybody.
It's funny you bring that up. There was a weird sensation, like I played in clubs for years, in club bands. And you could be sitting at a table and somebody asked you about a song or whatever, and you couldn't really bring it up or the lyrics. But when you went on stage and started playing, it just all came to you. You could think of a song to play and you could know the lyrics. But when you weren't on stage, it was like you really had to dig deep. I never understood that. I don't know why that was like that. Strange.
Yeah. Rex in the chat just gives us an example of the McDonald's, jingle, like ba da ba ba ba. I'm loving it. That's a perfect example of a jingle.
Yeah, $3 million for somebody to go, I'm loving it.
I'm loving it. Hey, Brian, welcome to the live chat. Brian, who's in the chat now, says that he grew up around the area of Akron, Ohio, as well. So,
we did.
Yeah.
A lot of great groups and artists come out of Akron in the Akron Cleveland area. I mean, there were a ton of guys. Devo come out of there. Joe Walsh played up there.
Wow.
Joe. I talked to Joe one time about being in my band, believe it or not, back in the early days.
Wow.
He was playing in Kent Kent State University up there, Kent, the town, and it was a big club town, for the college people. And he played up there with a group called the Measles, and they broke up at the time or something. I mean, this is way back, a long time. And I called him, and he said, well, come on up and we'll talk. And I went up to Kent trying to find living in a barn or something somewhere. I don't remember, so long ago. And anyway, we ended up not getting together, and then somebody else, another guitar player, we got him in the group. I mean, Joe would have lasted with that band about 5 minutes. I mean, we were not very good, but he was a great guitarist. But yeah, it was Joe Walsh come out of there. A lot of artists came out of there, that area.
Can you imagine Joe Walsh singing something like, my Pac-Man cost me $25. I lost my money. It'd be a different album with Joe Walsh.
I sure would have loved to hear his guitar solo.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. That's awesome. What was I going to say? So I know Curtis has some more questions here too. I want to get into playing some of the songs here too, so everybody can hear these songs. And I think one of the things that was also mentioned even by Dick Clark, we just talked about Akron being big an area. Dick was saying that is like a lot of rock and roll came from there too in that original interview. And Dick had also asked you guys, what inspired you to make a song about this game. And for people who don't realize this, like in 1981, this was like a new thing, and a lot of parents were just, kind of upset over the fact that their kids were spending all their time playing video games and not doing their homework and doing their chores and stuff, and they're worried about it, the decline of American values and everything. So it was an exciting thing, but I think some people also looked at it as a frustrating thing, at least some of the parents. And so getting back to the question is like, okay, so what inspired you to make a song about Pac-Man?
Well, we were, as I say, we were doing jingles at the time, but after the jingles, we would work on songs. We'd have a little bit of studio time left, and we would, record. I mean, we had tons of stuff, and a lot of the stuff is on the Pac-Man Fever Vault. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But we would record songs, and we were trying to promote songs and have a hit record and make it, as a group or duo, whatever. So we were doing those two things, and at the time. And this is, like you say, it's hard for people to understand now that weren't living in that time. But the Pac-Man, all that stuff prior, there was a Pong game that first came out where, you'd sit in a little dot thing. I mean, that was a big deal. People actually paid quarters to play that. When Pac-Man came along, we were eating in a little restaurant up in Marietta, Georgia. The studio was close to there, and we'd go there to grab a bite to eat if we were working late. And we're in there one night, and we see this machine, and people are playing it, and we go, what's that? So we start playing it. Well, like everybody else, we get hooked in this thing. And we started spending more time playing Pac-Man than back at the studio working. So it came to me one day. I thought, I wonder if we should do a song, might help us with our jingle business, get a little local play. So Gary and I worked on it and took it to Bowie Geller Organization in Atlanta. They had the Atlanta Rhythm Section. They had... Alicia Bridges, I Love the Nightlife. They had a bunch of big acts, and so they said, okay, let's try it. And they let us go to the studio and record it. So the inspiration was we thought it would help with our jingle business. We really had no idea that it would be what it became and what it still is. I mean, it's just amazing. The record, when it took off, there was a local station here, big rock station at the time, and Arnie took it to New York. None of the record companies even understood what Pac-Man was, and they had no desire to play the record or buy the record. So they put it out locally here, and got a guy at this morning show to play it. And it absolutely exploded. The guy in the morning show played it twice, had to play it twice in the same hour, which, if you know anything about radio, they just don't do that. At least they didn't used to.
Right.
And he said over the air publicly, he said to our manager, he said to Arnie, he says, Arnie, you need to get this thing out. It's unbelievable. And the phones were exploding. And many of the stations that played it said it reminded them of the early days of the Beatles. Not comparing us to the Beatles, I don't mean that, but talking about the excitement of it and talking
about the popularity.
Yeah, the request and how it swept the country.
Wow.
And the phone would just light up like a Christmas tree. And what really kicked it off is when Entertainment Tonight did a story. Entertainment Tonight did a story. And after that, the TV was so powerful. And that just, man.
Yeah. This, and I'm going to play a clip from Pac-Man Fever in just a second here, but what you just struck on is this, how America was versus how America is now. But being heard on the radio was huge. That was about the only way a song could be circulated. And you're talking about, this is the Atlanta market. Now, Atlanta's a big city, but you were played only on a local station in Atlanta. And the response was huge. And like in one of the facts that I came across was that after hearing that, you sold 10,000 copies by being played only a couple of times on just a few radio stations in one city. Radio and television really were our portals to the world back then in a completely different way, because it was a small world and there were only a few channels even at that time. So that's absolutely amazing. Let me go ahead and play a clip from this. It's about a minute and a half. I'm going to play the original version of Pac-Man Fever for everybody to hear, in case somebody's never heard this song before. And then if you want to talk more about it, and after then, I think it'd be also kind of cool as well to show the 2015 version of this as well, the new version of Pac-Man Fever. So sit back and relax, boys and girls. I'm Casey Kasem, and here's Pac-Man Fever.
Pac-Man Fever.
Headed to the arcade. I don't
That gives me chills. It gives me chills. And as I mentioned, I've been listening to this album a lot for this past week. It's been in my headphones. It's been in the car. I've been listening to it. Gary had an amazing voice and an amazing range, because you've got a nice gravelly sound like that. He's got some really clean melodic stuff he does. And one of the things that came to mind when I was hearing some of this is it kind of reminds me of, there's like a little hint of Molly Hatchet in his voice too, I think, in some of these tracks. A little bit of Southern rock at times. But I really dig it. And that was great. I love that song.
You know, I wanted to mention some of the story. When you're talking about that era and what was going on, we had to do a Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon was fairly new at the time, and we had to do that. There was a show on there where it was kind of like it was a audience talk kind of show with a younger guy as the host, and they had a audience with kids, and so we were on there to perform the songs and then be interviewed and talk. Well, it was an hour-long show, and they had a bunch of different guests. So they had us in the green room there in the Ed Sullivan Theaters where they filmed it. So we're sitting up there, and the room's full of people. Well, it turns out that there was a group of ladies who had formed some sort of a group or whatever, anti-video game group. And they had been getting a lot of press, a lot of publicity. And they were, against the games, and they were destroying the children and all this stuff. So there's like 3 of them in the green room there with us. Plus they had a couple other TV people, stars in there. And then they had some guys from the game industry they were going to have on the show. Well, we're sitting there, waiting to go on, and they get into it with the game guys. They're back and forth and everything. So Gary and I are sitting to the left, and I'm thinking, wow, when they find out that we're sitting there, because with our record, we're really promoting this stuff, they're really going to tear into us. So I'm kind of just huddled over here, letting them go at it. And suddenly the lady sitting next to me turns to me and she says, are you the guys that do the Pac-Man record? And I, reluctantly said, yes. And she says, my daughter loves that record. We have it. Will you please autograph? And she couldn't have been nicer. Couldn't have been nicer. And then turned around, immediately walked out on national TV and was telling how horrible the video game industry was. It was crazy, crazy times.
Oh, human nature at its finest. That is something.
We used to go when we'd come into a town. If we'd come into a town and go to a video game place, something they always liked to do, and everybody thought they were the only ones to think of this, but they would try to, they had local news there or something. They'd want us to play their best player. We want you guys, somebody to play.
Okay, the town champion.
We weren't that good. Yeah, they got some, So here we go. We're getting these 10-year-old kids just killing us, with video.
Yeah, I have that happening to me today right now. So yeah, I can relate. That's amazing. Huge song, Pac-Man Fever. It is, when you did it as a single, the single was released first before you did the album. And then the album was kind of a rapid request from the studio, basically wanting to cash in on this popularity. Isn't it ironic how you go from, we don't even know what Pac-Man Fever is, and we think this song is, not a good song, to, oh my God, we want an album of this song. So
they learn quick.
Yeah. So you want me to go ahead and play the 2015 version of Pac-Man Fever, the remix? Because I think it's a pretty cool mix and it's a good video.
Yeah, we thought it was time maybe to do an updated version of it. There's so much going on. I mean, it's amazing how we were on the Goldbergs. They used it last season.
Oh.
I think they're going to use it on the Family Guy. They're talking about some Netflix show. I can't think of the name of it. But I mean, it just continues on and on and on. So we thought, well, let's do a little bit of an updated version. So that's what we did. Some people like it, and some people, are not happy. They like the original version, and they don't want the part with the guy rapping. Richie Knuckles. I don't know if you know who Richie Knuckles is. Richie's a good friend. He's very well known in the video game world. And Richie, like I said, good friends, but he said, man, you have to put, the rap thing. I said, well, we wanted to kind of update it. So anyway, we'd love to play it.
Yeah, I liked it too. And, there's certain things like you can remake songs or remake movies, but if you hold on to the core and the essence of it, and if it's done well, I think it's good. And I really enjoyed that. I think that was done here.
In the video, let me just say the video, we just passed 5 million views, and it keeps building every day. And we're so thrilled with that and happy, and we love people to come listen to it. So.
Yeah, all right, here we go. I'm going to play the whole thing because it's awesome, especially towards the end.
Okay.
I got a pocket full of quarters and I'm headed to the arcade. I don't have a lot of money, but I'm bringing everything I made. I got a canvas on my finger and my shoulders hurting too. I'm gonna eat them all up just as soon as they turn blue. 'Cause I got Pac-Man fever. It's driving me crazy. I got Pac-Man fever. I'm going out of my mind. I got Pac-Man fever. I'm going out of my mind. I got all the patterns down up until the night beat. I got it down. I got it down. I got Speedy on my tail and I know it's either him or me. So I'm heading out the back door and in the other side. Gonna eat the cherries up and take them all for a ride. Eat 'em up. Eat 'em up. I got Pac-Man fever. It's driving me crazy. I got Pac-Man fever. I'm going out of my mind. I got Pac-Man fever. I'm going out of my mind. I'm gonna fake to the left and move to the right. Got Punky's too slow and Blinky's out of sight.
That's right, I'm back, dude. On the attack, dude. Get in my belly, 'cause you wiggity, wiggity whack, dude. I eat up challenges while they see the damages. Suckers get served like pork chop sandwiches. You just a fruit in a maze with no replace that's out of order. I'm like that player in the game who dropped my scores on just one quarter. Come on, say something right. Increase my appetite. I'm in a hunger seizure. Damn, I should have mentioned I got
Pac-Man fever. It's driving me crazy. I got Pac-Man fever. I'm going out of my mind. I got Pac-Man fever. I'm going out of my mind. I got a pocket full of quarters. I got a pocket full of quarters. I don't have a lot of money. I don't have a lot of money. I got all the patterns down. I got all the patterns down. 'Cause I got Pac-Man fever. Pac-Man fever. 'Cause I got Pac-Man fever. Pac-Man fever.
That was pretty sweet. That was pretty sweet.
Yeah, Steelhouse Productions did the video on that, and it just a tremendous job. I think when we saw it, we were just blown away. We thought it was just great.
It is.
I was just about to ask you if you guys had any creative input into the video, or if that was something they just did and you saw afterwards.
Well, no, we had come upon part. They had done a working. In fact, they got a movie that's going to come out that had sections of this in there. But we saw that and we got with them and talked to them, and they said they would like to do a video to our song. So they did, and some of the parts in there is in their movie that's going to come out, but a lot of it's original, obviously, where the characters are singing and everything. I mean, they spent a lot of time on it. And,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
It's just a great video. Those guys are terrific. If you ever need video stuff, Steelhouse Productions.
Yeah, we'll certainly do that. And when this video is done and final and people can play it later, I'll have links to everything in this video later on for that. I want to switch to my camera full screen for just a second to show something off, because there's a line in the song that I think is really cool and it's worth talking about, because Gary says, I got all the patterns down, all the way up to the 9th key. And an interesting thing about the album, too, is that instead of there being liner notes, you guys actually had in the album the patterns to the game. And this was one of those games where during this time you could buy a book called Video Game Secrets and stuff like that, and you could buy a book to learn all the patterns to the games, because the games were kind of pre-programmed and there were ways that you could learn how to play the game. So I just think it's kind of cool that, that's one of the lines. I got all the patterns down, and so it's something that if you were there at that time, it makes perfect sense. It's just so cool. And they have that kind of remix it at the end there. I got all the patterns down. It's so melodic too. What I find to be utterly amazing is, and I don't know, I'm sure the people who are the fans agree with me, but I don't know if history and music and everything else looks at it the same way, but the album is an amazing album. The music is really good, well written and produced music. These are great melodic pop songs. And it's definitely a sign of the time, because your average song length is about 3.5 minutes. And as I'm recording all of these clips, within about a minute to a minute and a half, you get the intro, you get the verse, you get the chorus, and it's all happening right away because of how songs had to be played on the radio too. That was the normal thing. Like, a 3-minute song was about radio length, and you think of songs like Stairway to Heaven and Freebird, it was unusual to play them because they were 11 minutes long. We can't run a commercial every 4 songs if it's an 11-minute long song. So there's just so much elegance and heart and soul in this music and album that I have really grown to appreciate these past couple of weeks, especially. I just wanted to say that, and I'm hoping I'm not alone in that feeling.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, and yeah, we've had a lot of people who have said that they're musicians, people in the business. There's been 2 or 3 big producers that eventually became big producers who said they cut their teeth on our album because they loved the musical part of it. We tried to, when we did the album, it was our goal to make each song have some stability of its own, to try to be a good pop song, not just to throw in sound effects and and just throw it out there and hope everyone likes it. We try to make each song different and have a good hook and be a pop song, because we wrote pop songs. I mean, that's what we did. And so yeah, it's rewarding, and it's always nice to hear when people can actually appreciate and go, wow, because these are great musicians playing on here. It wasn't just us. We had some of the best people in Atlanta playing on here, and so that was our goal, to try to make each song separately. I wanted to mention too that you're talking about the patterns in the liner. Billy Mitchell, I know you know who Billy Mitchell is. Billy is
the King of Kong. Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
King of Kong, and he's the first guy to take the Pac-Man machine, Pac-Man all the way. And we've become good friends over the years and done some shows together and everything. And I got a prized sheet, one of the sheets, where Billy went in and looked at it. He says, he said, some of these are wrong. This doesn't work here. So I made him sign the thing, and put in there what was wrong. Everything. It's one of my prized possessions.
Oh, that is awesome. That is awesome.
Put it on there. But yeah, we tried to write good pop songs.
Well, you did, and that's a perfect segue. I'm going to bring up the discography of your website, because another thing that I wasn't aware of is there was a life before Pac-Man Fever, and you had some really big hits there as well. So I'm going to pull up your website and just show off the discography. Let me make sure. Okay, so my microphone's still here. We can't see you guys, but let's look at the singles. In 1980, there was Merry Christmas in the NFL with Willis the Guard, who was a DJ at the time. That was was that a regional, local, or national hit, that NFL song?
It was a national release and got played. Okay. It was not really a big hit, but it was played all over the country.
Okay.
Yeah.
The one that I really wasn't aware of before doing my research here was the theme to WKRP in Cincinnati. That was a huge show with Johnny Fever and Lonnie Anderson's and everything else. That was huge. And so you did the original version as well as the radio version of that song?
Well, what happened is Steve Carlisle, who sang that original and also sang this, he was the original singer, here in Atlanta. The show was developed by a guy that was from Atlanta. He was in advertising business, and Hugh Wilson was his name. And Hugh went out to California and had success out there with some things and developed that show through Mary Tyler Moore. And well, when they got the show, he came back to Steve and asked him to sing the theme song. But back in those days, theme songs for TV shows was 30 seconds, 60 seconds. They didn't do them too long. So Steve did the song, and then the show happened. Well, we had some regular songs that we made a deal for Steve to sing, And then when the label found out that Steve had sung the theme song, they go, boy, we'd like to put that out, you know. So we went in the studio and had to rewrite it and extend it, make it a full song and everything, and have Steve do it again. And that's how that came about.
That's amazing. That's amazing. There's just so many here. I do want to play the E.T. I Love You because I think that's awesome. Hopefully you can talk about that a little bit more as well. Another great single. Then we get into our albums. So Footprints in the Sand, was that your own material that you released, or was that because you had some where other artists sang songs you produced as well?
Well, Footprints in the Sand was, at the time, back in those days, was a poem that was circulating by an unknown, they said. And it was very inspirational, and we thought that we just liked it and thought it was an inspirational thing that people would maybe like. So we recorded that, and it did really well. Edgell Groves, a close friend of ours, did the song, and it was a #1 song all over the place in country and in what they called middle of the road at the time. It didn't really do anything pop, but it was a very successful song and did very well.
Yeah, and another thing too, which I'll play a clip from in a little bit, but Wreck-It Ralph. I mean, it's kind of come full circle now, where Disney does this big feature animation, and Disney now owns Pixar, the company who's made Toy Story and everything else. And so this is a fully animated feature film that's based on 80s video game characters, all the classics and some new ones. And you guys did the title track to that, the Wreck-It Ralph song, which is a great modern pop song as well. So that's kind of cool that it's still going on.
It was really a thrill to go in a theater and sit there and see your name in the credits of a Disney movie. I mean, that was, I mean, I can't even express what that was like. But yeah, Disney called and said they had this song and talked about the movie and that they were working on, and they wanted us to do the song. So we do it. So that was just a big thrill. I mean, I can't say any more except that it was. Sadly, Gary was not a part of it because he had just passed.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'll tell you one thing. I was watching Wreck-It Ralph in the theater, enjoying it, and it got to the credits. I stayed for everything. That song starts playing, and I turned to the person I was with and said, "Oh, you know what they should have done is they should have got the Buckner and Garcia group to do a song for this movie." And when I saw the credits scroll and said that, I was just stunned that anybody at Disney had that kind of foresight.
Yeah. They did it, and hopefully we'll be in the new one too. I don't know. We'll see. They're still working on it, but we're hopeful that we maybe do a new song for it. I don't know. We'll see.
Let me just take a quick moment to acknowledge everybody who's in the chat right now, and we'll get to some of these questions. But Paco Atakte is here, a friend of ours. David Ladd, Panda Gamer is here. Rex from the Simply Magic Gamers is here. Jesse Jones was here. Cave Weasel stopped by. Brian McCann is here, a former coworker of mine, and Jesse Jones. And so we've had some of the questions like, is the album still available now? And the answer is yes. It's available through a website you have called the Pac-Man Vault, which we'll run a commercial for in a second here and show that. But yeah, I just wanted to say hi to everybody who's watching as well, because people are watching us live. So thanks guys for being here. So yeah, as we continue to go through this discography here, there's just a ton of things you guys have done before, what you're most well known for, as well as now you have some television soundtracks. I'm not familiar with The Gift of the Magi. Maybe I should be. Shame on me. But so you got soundtrack work, video game soundtracks from Frogger, Lollipop Chainsaw. I know is a pretty popular franchise. It's got attractive girls fighting each other and stuff, and obviously Wreck-It Ralph.
Let me stop you on. Let me stop you on that one. We didn't realize how violent that. License.
Okay.
If we had it to do over again, I don't know that we would. I know it's a big game. People like it, but boy, when we saw it when it came out, it was like, okay.
What track is on there?
Pac-Man Fever.
Oh, okay.
Of course.
Well, so one of the interesting historical anecdotes is that Pac-Man Fever is the first song to be based on a video game, and now we have life imitating art, where a video game has now been using your songs. And so was it 2010 that these songs were added to the Rock Band lineup?
Yes. Yeah. They added all those. And so they're supposed to be, I think they called a few months ago, they're supposed to be doing it again or something. I can't keep track of it, but there may be some new stuff coming out. I don't know. You guys will probably more about that than I would.
Okay, well, there's a clip from your website I like to play that just shows the Rock Band game. And if you guys are not familiar, Rock Band's kind of like Guitar Hero, and you can have people playing the songs and you perform the song and to the thing. So I thought that was kind of cool to see this commercial, this little promo for the game. So let me run that clip real quick. Oh man, that's so cool. There's so much to cover, and I don't want to take up all your time. But there's so many things we haven't even gotten into the rest of the song. So how are you doing on time for us, Jerry? Are you able to hang with us for a while?
I'm okay for a little longer, yeah.
All right. Let's get into some more of the songs from the album, and you've given me a bunch of other things to play, too. I want to talk about some of your current projects as well, and some alternate versions of the songs that as they were originally recorded. I've got some of those as well. So let me just go ahead, and I'm going to play through some of the clips of the rest of the Pac-Man Fever album. Is that okay with everybody?
Yep.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead, now we're going to hit track 2, which is Froggy's Lament, which was a song that you mentioned you wanted to also be a single, and they chose Donkey Kong over this. But this is a pretty cool song, too, based on Frogger. So we're going to go ahead and run this one. Great track, great pop song. I know in your commentary, and I'll go ahead and plug that next. But in your commentary, what you did on your 35th anniversary, is it 30th or 35th anniversary of Pac-Man? When you guys
it was 35th, I think, in 2015. I believe.
35th anniversary of Pac-Man. You released the 35th anniversary of this album with commentary, and you talked about how you even created the sounds and with the synthesizer. And now here's the funny thing: I've always heard it pronounced Moog as well. The Moog synthesizer, another great 80s icon instrument. But I actually have a friend who works for them, and he's telling me it's actually pronounced Moog. But I've always pronounced it Moog. It's spelled Moog. It sounds like Moog. It reads like Moog. But yeah, you were talking about how you layered the string sounds and everything else. So it was very cool. I definitely suggest everybody is going to do this. So right before I run the video, which is promoting the Pac-Man Vault, I'm going to tell you why everybody should do this. Because I first bought the album on Amazon. I think it was $9 for just the Pac-Man Fever album. For $4.99, you can go to the Pac-Man Fever Vault, get the original album, get the anniversary edition, and tons of bonus content as well. So it is an incredible value, and we're using some of those clips here now. So I'm gonna go ahead and run your commercial talking about the Pac-Man Vault. So because one of the questions that did come up was, hey, is the album still available for sale? And yes, it is. I also want to say a quick hello to Nick Morentis from Australia, who's just joined us too. G'day, Nick. G'day. And Nick shares an interesting piece of trivia with Pac-Man 2 because he rewrote the Pac-Man game for our computer, the computer that brought Alan and Curtis and I together, the Radio Shack color computer. Nick Marentes rewrote the game, his own reinterpretation of the game, which is pretty cool, and it's a very close facsimile of that game. So hi, Nick. I'm going to go
running
ahead
in the background of Alan's screen too. So.
Oh, okay. I don't know if we'll be able to see that. So I'm going to go ahead and play this commercial right now for the Pac-Man Fever Vault, which I highly encourage everybody to check out.
Hi, I'm Jerry Buckner of Buckner and Garcia, and I want to tell you about our website called the Pac-Man Fever Vault. It's a special membership site for our fans that's filled with a library of our songs, pictures, interviews, memorabilia, videos, and more. You get songs from all 3 of our albums, including the songs you're listening to now from the Pac-Man Fever album. You also get the songs from the Now and Then album and songs from the Pac-Man Fever 35th Anniversary album, featuring commentary from me on each song. There's over 30 more songs included, many of which have never been released. We also have a whole section of videos featuring a rare performance homemade video of Gary and I doing Pac-Man Fever along with the studio band. There's a lot more to see and hear, and you get all of this for just a one-time payment of $4.99 for a lifetime membership. Whether you're a fan, classic gamer, or you just love the 80s, this site is for you. Now here's some of the songs you're going to get. Pac-Man Fever Original Version Remake, Pac-Man Fever Eat 'em Up 2015, an updated version from 2015, Do the Donkey Kong, Froggy's Lament, Ode to a Centipede, Hyperspace, The Defender, Mousetrap, and Go on Berserk, and E.T. I Love You, an updated version of the original release in 1982. And you'll get these original unreleased songs written by us, Hostage, With a Girl Like You, Last Night, I See the Light, a special song Gary wrote and performed, Mr. T, Loose in the Streets, and a remake of Funky Broadway. And we've included some songs written by us that were recorded by other artists. Theme to WKRP in Cincinnati, recorded by Steve Carlisle, produced by us, and written by Hugh Wilson. Don't Hang Up, You Told a Lie, both songs recorded also by Steve Carlisle, written and produced by us. Merry Christmas in the NFL, a song written by us and recorded by Willis the Garth. Pretty Thing, another original Buckner and Garcia song, recorded by a band called Choice, produced by Bruce Blackman, who wrote and performed Moonlight Feels Right. And that's not all the songs. There's a lot of music on here. 3 albums worth, along with the interviews, personal photos, stories, and memorabilia. So place your order now, just $4.99 for a lifetime membership to the Pac-Man Fever Vault. And thanks for all your support. We really appreciate it. Let us know how you like the Vault, too. Thanks for watching.
That's cool. That PacManFeverVault.com is the link. I will put a link in this video when we're done. We got about a dozen people watching us live right now. We've had up to like 20 or 30 at one point in time. I guess I'm turning everybody off at some point. I should shut up. So we have a lot of things queued up to talk about. But Jerry, why don't you tell us what you'd like us to talk about next as far as what clips you'd like us to play? You've given me a lot of material. I definitely want to respect your time and get to some things that you want everybody to be aware of.
Well, we've covered a lot of it. The new video, Pac-Man Fever Eat 'em Up video. I'm glad to talk about that. I guess some of the fans know that we were involved in the Waffle House songs. One of my favorite places, Waffle House, they're all over the country. If you guys, the Waffle House is where you are, I would imagine.
Yeah, I have them in Florida. Yep.
Yeah, and
I'm 3 hours for me to get to a Waffle House.
Wow.
Yeah. Well,
I'm in Canada, so it's a bit of a distance.
Okay. Well, the company's based here, and the owner was a good friend of mine, and his wife, Mary Rogers. And Mary was a great singer, worked with a lot of big stars in Vegas for a long time. And anyway, they decided at one point they wanted to form a label called Waffle House Records and put jukebox songs on the jukeboxes that, they weren't really commercials, but they could kind of, set an atmosphere and kind of promote things. So they asked me to come in and work with them, and I did, and that was 85, I think. And so we worked on those songs, and people seemed to like them and enjoy it and all that. So there were some songs that naturally we did that didn't make it for whatever reason, were not put on the jukebox. So we thought, well, maybe you folks would like to hear those. So there's, I think, maybe 11, 12 songs, and we put them on an album called the Lost Waffle House Tapes.
Okay.
And if you're a big Waffle House fan and you like the songs, these are songs never heard before. They were never released. Some of them are demos, some are completed, some are whatever in between. But it's just kind of fun. And if you have a friend that likes Waffle House, they can it could be a nice a gift or whatever if you want to send it to them. But just for fun to listen to. So yeah,
where do we get this?
I actually have a clip. I have a clip of the website. You want me to go ahead and pull up the website? I've got a little clip of your little demo song for that too.
Yeah, if you want to.
Okay, let me go ahead and pull that up. It's there we go.
There you go. And you can order this through iTunes if you want it, and it will actually be available on cassettes. Cassettes are kind of making a comeback to some degree. So it will be on CD. And the digital's available right now. We're on all the wherever's digitals are sold. We're on all of them, including iTunes and Amazon.
This is how I found out about the Pac-Man Fever connection. I was actually calling to order the original CD when I first saw a sign in a Waffle House. Yeah, so that's what they said. Oh, yeah, they're the Pac-Man Fever thing. They're working on a new version of the album, and that's what pulled me back in because of Waffle House.
All right, sorry about that, guys. There was music playing too, so I don't think everybody heard what you were saying. But you're saying this is also available on iTunes, but it's wafflehouserecords.com is the website that's going to be able to have people get to this.
Well, I think it's Waffle House Songs.
Songs.com, yeah. WaffleHouseSongs.com, yeah. We have a question in the chat, too, from Jesse Jones. He's saying, do you see any similarities between Angry Birds' popularity and Pac-Man? And will you guys consider doing an Angry Birds song?
Well, that's the question. Angry Birds was and I guess still is a very successful game. And yeah, we actually did a demo of a song. We had an idea for it, and we did it. Could never get with the company. It was the most strangest thing we ever went through. Our manager could not get return phone calls and so forth. We don't know what happened. So it never came out. And we're afraid to release it at all because we don't want to get sued. Because
sure.
But it's really a very cool song, and sadly we were not able to make a deal with them. But yeah, we actually and we don't do that with every game we see. But that one we thought Now as far as compared to Pac-Man, no, it's not even close. It's you can't even describe. I mean, Pac-Man, people were literally standing lines of people to play the game.
Right.
And, you don't see that. I mean, of course, Angry Birds is a mobile game, but
yes,
it's nothing compares to Pac-Man.
I've heard stories how they in Japan when this was first released that they ran out of their coin currency because it was all going into the machines faster than it could be circulated back into the economy. So
well, I had a chance to meet. I had a chance to meet Earl Atwani, if I pronounce it right, who created the game. I met him in Chicago about a year and a half ago, and a great guy. He doesn't speak English. He has an interpreter with him, but I thought, I don't know what his thoughts are. Well, we were introduced. We're standing there, whatever, and he leans over to me in my ear, and he softly goes, "Pac-Man Fever. I got Pac-Man Fever." Sang in my ear.
Oh man.
We were asked to perform a lip sync in this particular place. It was Club 257 in Chicago that Nintendo owns. And so we did a little performance. And he came out. There was a TV crew from Japan following him. He came out and danced on the dance floor to the song, which I thought was, and just a nice guy, and enjoyed meeting him.
Amazing memories.
Along that line, did you guys ever consider doing a sequel to Miss Pac-Man, which actually became even more popular than Pac-Man itself in the arcades? Was that ever a consideration?
No, we never really got that far. I mean, the album was so. What we were doing was so big and moving, and we weren't thinking in terms of doing any more game songs.
Right, right.
And not that we're ungrateful. I love you. I'm thrilled to be. We're really a part of pop culture because of it, and so that's great. But we were hoping to do some move on to some other things. And speaking of E.T. I Love You, that was really kind of what we were hoping to slide into the next phase.
Right.
And unfortunately, it didn't work out.
Yeah, I'd like to play a clip from that. I have a couple of questions though, because you mentioned that Disney approached you guys to do Wreck-It Ralph. I was really surprised, and I don't know if you were approached when the movie Pixels came out in 2015, because that was a huge video game theme movie, and Pac-Man was a big part of that. Did they contact you guys at all?
No, it's a mystery. I have no idea. Everybody, we had tons of emails and tons of people saying, "Why is your song not in that movie?" I said, don't ask me. And when the various people were on TV promoting it, never said a word about it. And I don't know to this day. I don't know.
Yeah, it's insane.
Don't know what happened.
You've had a unique situation where you have released successful music in the 80s. You did it again in the 90s with re-releasing the album on compact disc. And then again in 2012 for Wreck-It Ralph. And of those 3 times, which one was the most lucrative for you as far as, the sales and all that kind of stuff?
Oh, well, of course, Pac-Man by far. I mean, it just sold, it's just amazing. I mean, it just sold so much. I mean, it was always a pleasure to go to the mailbox and pick up the checks.
Yeah. Are you still getting residuals now?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, we get a lot of play on satellite radio. Somebody the other day, people will send me, when they hear it, they'll let us know they hear it. But yeah, it actually the airplay is kind of increasing, and we also get there's a fair amount for Wreck-It Ralph gets.
Yeah. I'd actually
believe it or not.
So
yeah, that. Still, we still get royalties. Not like we did then, but we still get it.
Sure. So, in 1982, when I purchased this album, and I think I was about 14, and of course I'm a kid playing Pac-Man, spending my quarters like everybody else, and I bought the album like everybody else. I never would have imagined in 1982 that I would have the honor to speak to the person who made this. And now I'm talking to you, and you're talking to me on your iPad. Technology has changed a lot since 1982. How has technology affected how you record? Because I would imagine in 82 you guys were still using probably analog, like reel-to-reel tapes and everything else, and 1999 you went digital, and 2012 you're doing it again. What changes have you noticed, and what do you think has been changes for the better or for the worse?
Well, I love the new technology. I think it's great. I mean, I can do so much here. I just have a little studio here, and but I can do demos, pretty much everything. And if I want to get a vocalist, I can send it over to somebody. They'll sing it and send it back. So that part is great. I mean, if you're going to cut a serious record, I would still want to go in a regular studio, but you don't have to. I mean, there's tons of hits that people are cutting in their bathroom and garage, with all this technology. The interesting thing about it is, in those days, as you say, it was just tape and everything. And there used to be a joke about, I don't know where this came from, but it used to be a joke about, I'm going to call my part in tomorrow on the phone. Everybody'd laugh, about calling your phone. Well, now, of course, you can send call your part in if you want.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's great. The only thing is sometimes the human feel to a song can kind of get lost, especially if it's like the old records, Sam and Dave records of Wilson Pickett and all those great records. You really want that human feel in there, not the machine. For me,
sure.
Like auto-tune and all that kind of stuff that's become popular.
Yeah, but all in all, I think it's great. And I mean, like what we're doing now, this is just great. And I can do so many things now myself. So I love the technology.
That's great. What do you think about, you guys, you are real musicians. You record, you were working musicians before this hit. You were lucky enough to strike gold. But, in the past 15 years now, we've had things like American Idol and The Voice and all these reality shows where people can become really an overnight pop star. What do you think about that change in music?
Well, I'm always... anyone that can achieve success, I congratulate them in whatever way you can do it. I really do. It's so tough. I mean, it's just so hard to achieve success in any way. So I think it's great. But I think that sometimes I believe there's probably plenty of stories out there from some of the winners. I think if you go into that and you don't have a lot of experience, it can be kind of a negative for you. And you may not, if you make some money, maybe you don't take care of your money or you don't have any input into the songs or whatever, and that can lead you down the rabbit holes. So in that sense, I think it could be rough on the person, but then there's many people who have done very well. I think some of the contracts on those shows are pretty brutal. But then, they were brutal in the 50s and 60s. We were very fortunate. Our management people, Arnie Geller, they were great people. But, in the 50s, it was awful. I mean, these people would record records and not get anything for them.
Wow.
So that's always been a part of it. But all in all, I think some of the folks, you hear some people and you go, wow, I can think of 10 people here in town that are better than this person singing. But, you go on there, they got a story, they go do it, and congratulations, if you can do it.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Did like, speaking of management and management decisions, did you guys actually retain full control of your songs too? Because that was a big thing back then, that a lot of people kind of gave away the rights, and then the record company or whoever else would make all the money, and then you guys would be left out. But did you guys have good enough management that you guys kept all your rights?
Yeah, well, we kept our writers' rights. Yeah, the publishing, it was a publishing company that we had an agreement with, part of our recording agreement, and it was a very good deal, still is, and that was fine. It's funny, things kind of go in a circle. In those days, the money was you made the bulk of the money in performance and publishing. You made money on record sales, but the companies, it worked like that. But now, because of the things have changed, now the record companies want a piece of your live stuff. If you go play live, if you whatever you do, they want a part of your writers. Because that performance money from the radio and all, that's not there anymore like it once was. People are using the internet, and they're so far you've got to really, to make money in the internet, you've got to really just have a ton of views and or sell it. And not many people, most people want free music. They don't want to pay for music.
That's changed.
So it's a different business now, and it's just kind of gone in a circle. But yeah, we were very fortunate and had good people, management people.
Studio, he's talking about studios not always having the artist at best interest, or maybe not making the best decisions because, the E.T. I Love You song, which if you don't mind, I'd like to play it in a minute. It's a beautiful song. It's a beautiful ballad. To me, this is not your quote unquote video game song. This song could have been played on any radio station. I think the contemporary music of the time and even today, I think it holds up very well. And they made the decision to not promote the song or make it even part of the album. I mean, does that drive you crazy? And what do you think would have changed if America got a wind of this?
Well, try to condense the story about that. That's a special song for us. And actually it wasn't, but the album had already been out, and the movie was that summer of '82.
Okay.
And, I saw the movie and I thought it was incredible. So I told Gary and Arnie, everybody, we all went to see it the next night again. And at the time, I had just lost a beautiful dog I had. I loved this dog. It was a great dog. And I was really sad and everything. And I wrote out this little melodies, trying to work through my sadness, and this little song. Well, as soon as I saw that movie, I realized that the little character instead of my dog, could be the little character. So I played that for everybody. They go, man, yeah, that's great. So Gary and I sat down and wrote the song completely, and the lyrics and everything. And they flew it to New York to our record company overnight. I mean, the next morning, Arnie flew up there. He says, it's unbelievable. He said the girls were crying and the secretaries. It was so beautiful they could hear the song. So then next he flies out to California to meet with the Spielberg people. And he says, I'm sitting there in the office, and he said, Spielberg's off. I'm still sitting in the lobby waiting to go in. And he said, he's playing the record over and over again. It's loud.
Wow.
He said, it's loud, over and over and over, like before they called me in there. And he said, I think they're going to recall the movie to put the song in there. He said they didn't say that, but the way they're acting and implying things they're saying. So we were like on cloud nine because, as you say, this song was a regular ballad, and we thought that would really help us to pivot into to the next level that we wanted to go to with our music. And within a couple of days, all of a sudden, the communication was cut off. And then we found out that Neil Diamond had this song, Heartlight, and Neil Diamond was on the same label we were, and he was a huge artist. And so, he had the connections and everything. So they held our song and put his out. And it was a very tough time for us, They eventually put it out because they had to, or we could have sued them. But it was 3-4 months later, and Neil Diamond had taken all the thunder. Interestingly enough, the song where it got played was just a #1 requested song where they did play it. And I met a guy years later, a radio guy, and he says, I was in the West Coast at the time your song came out. He said, we would play it, and he said, it was like #1 requested song. And I kept telling the promotion guy, this record is a smash. And he said, finally, the guy says, forget that record. It's over. It's done. It ain't going to happen. And he said, I couldn't believe it. So we quit playing it. But they killed it. But it was really sad. But yeah, it was a very heartfelt song, meant a lot to us. And it was a tough pill to swallow to not have it happen.
I bet. Will you mind if I play it now? Is
Please
it okay
do.
Okay, we're gonna play it. It is beautiful.
You came to me on a summer night, a stranger with nowhere to go. Miles from home, all alone. You were left behind in a world you didn't know. You came to me. No one would believe you were true. E.T., you're a part of me. I'll remember you forever. E.T., I love you.
Yeah, that is absolutely beautiful. It is such a beautiful ballad, and Gary's voice is just so clean and so angelic coming through there. I mean, the man had incredible range as a singer and just so much soul. I mean, I'm really, really appreciating this. It's amazing music. How's it doing now?
What's that?
How's the song doing now, or is it really only available through like this Pac-Man Vault and everything?
Yeah, it gets a little bit of play online, on some of the song services, but not too many people know it.
Another good reason to go to the Pac-Man Vault, Pac-Man Fever Vault, and get
there you
this
go.
and a lot of other stuff. Yeah, we have a question from Nick Morentis from Australia saying, "May I ask what synth was used for E.T. I Love You? Was it a DX7?"
I'm sorry. What was used?
What synthesizer? What keyboard did you use to record
that was well. I'm not sure. I couldn't hear. Did you play the original version or the remake?
I played the new one from the Vault.
Oh, okay. That's when it had drums on it, right?
I didn't get that long. I only got up to like the first chorus.
Okay. Well, originally the song was done on piano. The one that came out in 1982 was done on piano, and I used a Korg for the strings on it and for the pads. The newer version, I actually had another guy play the keyboard parts, and I'm not sure what he used. It probably was a Korg, but I don't know. But I didn't actually play it on the new one. I didn't play the keyboard, so I'm sorry, I don't remember. But on the original, it was just piano and Korg.
That's beautiful. It's beautiful. I got a lot of stuff to play here, but I don't want to wear everybody thin. So I think it's probably worthy to play Wreck-It Ralph, and then I thought it would be good too to show some of your various versions of the song, like the original version versus the album version. So maybe we'll do Wreck-It Ralph, and then I'll do like your demo tape of Defender, and then play the album cut of Defender. Does that sound good?
Okay.
Okay. So let me go ahead and do that right now. Let me go ahead and play Wreck-It Ralph, because this is one of the most current things right now, and this is just, you know, carrying everything forward right now. Wreck-It Ralph from 2012 from the great Disney movie. Enjoy.
Wreck-It Ralph is a giant of a man, 9 feet tall with really big hands, living in a stump on his very own land until his world went crazy. He was minding his own business on the day they came. They showed a piece of paper saying eminent domain. They built an apartment building saying progress was to blame. So he got mad and he turned bad. Brick by brick he's gonna take his land back. Wreck it Ralph as fast as you can. You know you can do it with your colossal hands. So pull it, fix it, Felix, and that building stand. I wreck it, I fix it, I wreck it, I fix it.
All right, did you say you have like 5 minutes left to go? 5-10 minutes left to go?
Yeah, 10 minutes or so. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So why don't we do this? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I hope that wasn't. We've been showing each other signs. Has that been going out over the air?
No. I'm watching it. I
was showing one of my favorite new things.
Yeah. Oh, Brownie Brittle.
I had a piece of this.
Yeah, nothing wrong with giving plugs. I like how you also mentioned on the Centipede song, you guys gave a plug to Nike because it's saying how the Centipedes wear Nike sneakers. All right, so we're gonna wrap this up. I can't thank you enough. We're not ending, but we're consciously getting towards the end here. So I think it'd be good right now. I'm gonna play the Defender work tape. Now we just talked about this a minute ago. Right now you've got a mini studio at home, but when you did this, what type of, was it like literally like a little mini cassette recorder thing when you recorded this, or something a little bit fancier than that?
It was. I had a little spin-it piano, and we would sit down and work on stuff. And I had a tape deck. In fact, it's sitting here on the floor. I still have it. This one of the big cassette decks they had back in the '80s, and I had to sit on the piano. And the demos for us working on the songs would just be piano and me singing, or Gary, depending on who was working on it at the time. And that's what's on this one. It's very crude, but I thought people might enjoy it.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and play that right now. This is the Defender work tape. This is you playing and singing just to kind of work out the structure of the song, right?
And you can see why Gary's the singer.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, I'm live in the air. I have to call you back.
All right, so that is really cool. That is definitely part of something that I would consider should be in a vault. That's a gem. So that's that. Let me go ahead and play now what it sounded like on the album, and you can hear the similarities. Now, what you said your favorite song on the album? One of your favorite songs was "Ode to a Centipede."
Yeah, I always liked that. I liked the melody on it.
Yeah.
I love the guitar solo in it. Chris Bowman played the guitar. Chris Bowman played guitar on the whole album, other than Pac-Man Fever. But I always liked I thought it was just a melodically a good song.
It definitely is. All right, so let's hear a little quick clip of the album version of the Defender now. So there was the demo, and here's the final product.
Place
and a lot of the structure still stayed there. It's really cool. It's really cool. I also wanted to mention something. Somebody who wanted to be in the interview but could not be here to ask the question live, but Glenn Planamento, another fellow retro podcaster and YouTuber, says he wanted to let you know that he wore out a few needles on your record and he really enjoys your LP. So that's from Glenn. So
thank you, Glenn. Thank you.
Yeah. So much stuff to cover.
What else? We can do it again sometime.
We'll do that. We'll do that. Alan or Curtis, any final questions or thoughts? And then I do have a little clip I want to play at the end as well.
I'll let Alan go first because he hasn't had too much chance to talk.
No, that's fine. You go ahead. I just had to get my Waffle House. I have a whole Waffle House shrine. It's my favorite restaurant.
Hold on, let me zoom in on that real quick.
Let me just tell you that the food there actually it's pretty good quality food, better than most of the fast food places.
So no doubt.
I've never had a waffle there. I've had pork chops and steak. And I noticed names on old school games. Danny Jones, he's one of the old Waffle House singers. The Raisin Toast song.
Yeah, Danny Jones.
I didn't.
Close friend of mine. We've worked together for years. We still work together. He sang Wreck-It Ralph. And,
really? You're right. That's probably where I saw it first.
He sang Wreck-It Ralph, and he worked on pretty much all the Waffle House songs. We've done a ton of songs together. Worked on songs with other artists, and he's just a good buddy, close buddy. And I want to mention Mike Stewart. I don't know if Mike's even watching, but Mike is also a close friend and part of the band and. Original band, and the three of us are kind of the core of everything. So, Danny. I don't know if Danny's watching either, but he's an incredibly talented guy.
It's amazing how many things I love you guys have been responsible, or been involved in.
Well, I'm glad we're just happy. We just we make pop music. We don't claim to be anything other than that, and it's been fun doing that. And I'm glad that people loved the stuff then. I'm so pleased they love it now. I just enjoy meeting folks. Everyone's got stories, when we do some appearances, and I enjoy hearing stories and talking to them, and it's just great.
Brian McCann in the chat says, before we wrap up, I just want to say what an honor it was to be part of this. Thanks, Brian. I agree, 100%.
Thank you, Brian.
And Bill Noble just chiped in and said he agrees with Brian on that sentiment.
And here's Canadian Curtis. How's it going, eh?
Are you cold up there?
Sorry, go ahead.
Are you cold up there? Is it pretty cold in Canada?
Actually, we're above freezing now, so snow's melting away, so that's kind of nice.
Oh, okay.
Colder than Georgia.
That's true.
Yeah, I would think, yeah.
I did one last question. I'm more on the songwriting side of things here. Do you have a preferred way of writing? Do you normally do lyrics first, then the music, or do you do music and then the lyrics? Or does it just change depending on the song?
Yeah, it can change. Usually I get an idea for the song, and generally it's the chorus or hook part that comes to my mind, and that's what I start with and mumble through for lyrics. You don't have any. For me, it's tough writing a song. I love to write them. But each song I write, I want it to be, perfect, and they never are. Usually I start with the chorus hook, then I'll work on the verses, and then if you like it, you're happy. If you don't, then throw it away. I knew this guy one time, and he used to say, "Yeah, I write 20 songs a day," and I want to go, "How about writing just one good one?"
Yeah.
Because most of them were sung. But it's really tough. It's really tough to, to write a great song, and so I work at it. I've been very fortunate to be a part of a few, and I just am blessed in that way, and I'm happy. But I would do chorus, hook, and then in the verses, and changing stuff up to even in the studio, changing words, to the last minute. Because you want it to flow, and I'm crazy about phrasing, words and phrasing when you're in the studio, because you want everything to flow, but that's how I do it.
Okay.
That's very cool. And I can't encourage enough that everybody needs to go to pacmanfevervault.com. I will put a link in this video as well. There's so much content in there, and I've enjoyed listening to your commentary on the 35th anniversary edition on the songs and the artists and the recording and things that you liked and how you like play Centipede in a minor key and everything else. It's, so definitely make sure everybody heads over to pacmanfevervault.com. I can't thank you enough, Jerry Buckner. I also want to thank Jerry Garcia for his music as well, but today we're talking to Jerry Buckner.
Jerry Garcia. Now,
Gary, I'm just going to screw this up. I'm going to screw it up forever. But Jerry Buckner of Buckner and Garcia, I can't thank you enough for taking the time out of your day. Now, out of curiosity, because this past 2 days you've been emailing me saying I'm working late in the studio. What are you working on now? Are you able to share that?
I'm working on a faith-based song right now, and I think it's a pretty good song, and working real hard on that. And I also do voice acting now too. Okay. And got into that, and I enjoy doing that. I have fun doing characters, and the check's clear. So
that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing.
That's what's consuming my time. Yeah.
Yeah, I never would have imagined and had this opportunity to talk to you. You're such an important part of American history and pop music and pop culture and video game history, which I'm all about. So thank you so much. Go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off.
I just want to say thank you, all you guys. I enjoy talking to you guys, and anytime I'd love to come back and we could do some more.
Excellent. So what I want to close with is a clip of Gary Garcia himself. So something else you mentioned on the Pac-Man Fever Vault in the anniversary thing is you have a recorded interview with Gary, and it was one of the last times he got to speak about this project before he passed, unfortunately. So I thought it would be nice to close the interview to hear some of Gary's final words. So is that okay?
I miss him every day.
I can feel that. I'm feeling it too. So let's hear from Gary for a minute here.
What will this craziness do to your lives? Will you stay as record producers and writers, or will it take you into other fields? Where's it going to go from here?
Well, the new album's coming out, and it's got a lot of other video game material songs on it.
More?
Oh, we got a whole bunch of them. We've got songs like "Do the Donkey Kong," "Ode to a Centipede," "Froggy's Lament," all game songs, "Mousetrap," "Berserk," and it's opening up a lot of avenues that we weren't expecting. So we're just kind of going to follow the road and take it wherever it leads us.
In retrospect, how do you feel about the Pac-Man Fever album?
I'm very happy with how it turned out, especially for the short time that we had to put it together. I think looking back on it that we did a great job of mixing the sound effects and the games with the songs that we thought were pop songs, and I'm very happy with it. I think it stands the test of time.
And I think stands the test of time is the best way to describe the Pac-Man Fever album. So I want to thank you again, Jerry Buckner. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. Nice talking to you.
And thank you, everybody on YouTube who is watching this live. We appreciate you being here.